we've all established that I have a problem. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I don't spend a lot of money on material things except for two things: books and yarn. I spend most of my money on bills, food, and gas. So sometimes your girl just needs a little retail therapy, and it could be buying worse things. That's just what I try to tell myself, at least. Well, we have another haul. I went a little crazy. Let's just get started. I did have a recent haul that I did at the beginning of the year, so go check that out. I have actually already read some of those books, but I have added to the list. So first we have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is a dual timeline, friends to lovers, second chance romance in a small town in Canada, I believe. It has very good summer vibes. I love the dual timeline. I have already read this, really enjoyed this. Then in no particular order, we also have When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I've also already read this. I tabbed it. I read this during my swapping my screen time for reading time. So if you're interested in a reading vlog where I share my thoughts about it, go check it out. This book follows Amelia Rose, who is a very stressed out, exhausted pop star, also known as Ray Rose to her fans. She just decides that she needs a break before she goes on this like 9-month tour singing across the world, and decides to kind of take a note from her favorite actress's book, Audrey Hepburn, and goes to Rome. But she goes to Rome, Kentucky instead of Rome, Italy. Her car ends up breaking down in front of this guy's yard. Noah has had experience with these city type women. They come in, take, and then just leave. And he doesn't want to get mixed up with her. He doesn't want to experience that again. So he very much keeps her at arm's length, but he does let her stay in his guest room until her car gets fixed. So Amelia gets to experience this tiny little town full of very fun people, very found family, close proximity, grumpy sunshine, very fun, clean romance by Sarah Adams. Next we have Do I Know You? This is a very recent release, and when I saw it on social media I had to snag it up. This is by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegmund Broca. This book was so fun. I really enjoyed it. Also already read it. This follows Eliza and Graham, who are in a 5-year relationship, a 5-year marriage that's just kind of crumbling around them. They're in a rut. They are in their routine. They don't know how to communicate anymore. Their relationship is fracturing around them. So they get gifted a 7-day all-inclusive retreat, or like a vacation to a beachy location. Kind of in a series of accidents, they end up pretending to not know each other and end up having a really good time and decide to do that for their whole vacation. And so it's this story of them re-meeting each other, starting like a flirtation, and to go on their first dates again, and to get to know each other and ask those questions that you normally ask at the beginning of relationships to get to know each other, and like relearning how to talk to each other and have a good time together. And it was so wholesome and so cute. Another clean romance. Highly recommend it. Then Twisted Lies was finally available at my Barnes & Noble. Last time there were literally only like 2 of her books on the whole shelf in the whole Barnes & Noble, so I snatched this, even though I've only read the first book, which I told you I got in that other haul that I was talking about. Very excited to read this because I did finally read Twisted Love, and so I am doing a reading vlog where I read the whole Twisted series. So either that is done now or it should be up soon, so keep an eye out for it and go check out that video. I'm so excited for this next book. I pre-ordered this months ago because this author is like my favorite. She is an absolute queen. So when she said she had it out, I pre-ordered it immediately, and that is Barbarian's Surprise! I am an Ice Planet Barbarian fan. I don't know if you can see up here on these shelves I have the first 4 that are out now. This is the special edition. It follows Tiffany and Seluk. What happened to the original Ice Planet Barbarian women is that they were snatched from Earth by these not so nice aliens and were basically going to be sold into slavery on another planet, but their spaceship crashed onto this icy planet, which they call Not Hoth or Ice Home, and there are these like giant blue aliens whose species is dying and they need females, and like, of course, because it's sci-fi and romance, their DNA matches up and they like find mates and stuff like that. Tiffany had a very bad experience on the spaceship before it crashed. Check the trigger warnings. She is not enjoying the men's attention on this planet. They're respectful, but because Tiffany is single and doesn't have a partner, they kind of formed this like competition to win her over. That part was really fun. Tiffany is also very talented and she likes to learn and do a bunch of different things, so it was really fun seeing those aspects of Not Hoth. And then at the end, Ruby is including something called Ice Planet Honeymoon in all of the special editions, so they get like a second epilogue almost. So I'm excited to read that because I haven't read that yet for Tiffany and Seluk. Isn't this gorgeous? I love it so much. Oh, and I almost forgot because I pre-ordered it from a small shop. They did incentives for pre-ordering. There's Seluk. I believe the artist is Conky Bunk. And then I got a bookmark. I got a sticker. I love the sticker so much. And I got a signed sticker or book plate or one of those things. Very excited. Another book came in today and I ordered this for my birthday. Someone gave me a gift card to Amazon, so of course I got a book. I have been wanting to read this series for a really long time. I think I follow her on Instagram. I just find it very inspiring that she wrote this series. So I got the first book in the series called The Sunken City. Honestly, I bought this like not even knowing what it was about. I saw the cover and I thought it was stunning and I knew it was an indie author. I showed it to the boys that I nanny and he's like, it's like an Atlantis retelling, and I'm like, huh, maybe it is. It says a Mare Bellamy is not a witch, she is a pirate. A storm throws her overboard into this underwater kingdom where magic exists, but it's very strictly outlawed by the king, who is claiming that he is her father and she is his daughter. She's struggling to fit into the role of a princess in this sunken city, and she finds herself tangled in a web between 2 brothers. Oh no, love triangle. As strange powers manifest within her, she must question everything she was raised to believe, especially if she has any hope of stopping the evil brewing at the bottom of the ocean. Oh, this sounds so fun. I'm loving the ocean vibes. I love the ocean. I'm a little disappointed there aren't mermaids, but you know, who knows? There might still be mermaids. You never know. Okay, moving on, we have Funny You Should Ask. I am planning on filming a romance video, very specific list of romance books. Apparently, this chick interviews this one celebrity guy, it goes over well, and then like years later, 10 years later, his career is kind of like crashing, and so he asks her to interview him again, and so they kind of go on this like adventure or something, I think. This is a book that I picked up on a retail therapy day. The cover caught my eye and then the synopsis kind of sold it for me. The tagline really caught my attention. It says, "You go through life thinking there's so much you need until you leave with only your phone, your wallet, and a picture of your mother." Marin left her old life and hasn't spoken to anyone in her old life since the incident happened. Now, we don't know what the incident is, but apparently her best friend, who still doesn't know, is coming to finally visit her, I think maybe in college or something. So Marin is finally going to face everything that's happened to her that she's been trying to put in the past when her friend comes and visits. I read like the first chapter of this book and I was just sucked in. I'm excited to read this and see why it is a prize winner. Next, we have X's and O's by Amy Leah. Now, I read Amy Leah's debut novel Over Here Somewhere, Set on You, and I loved it. It is a series about influencers. So in this book, she is a book influencer. I love it so much. Tara is a romance book influencer, but she's had her heart broken so many times, but she believes in love and she believes in second chances. So Tara enlists her new roommate, Trevor, who is a firefighter and friend of the main male character in this book, Set on You. She enlists him to help her meet up with her exes to potentially find her second chance romance. So it's like forced proximity and maybe friends to lovers kind of situation. I love this cover too, so freaking cute. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy 28th birthday to me, happy birthday to me. At least that's my excuse. So I already own this series except for Court of Silver Flames, but my boyfriend is borrowing the OG books and I've had the itch to kind of read them again and maybe annotate them. And then one of my Bookstagram friends posted that the series was half off on Amazon, and so I snatched it. But that's expensive. So half off, I got it for like 50 bucks. All of these books. I splurged. I did literally just have a birthday in February, so that was my excuse to myself. And now I have Court of Silver Flames as well. All of them except for ACOTAR are hardback, so I'm really excited to have the paperback versions because paperback is my favorite. Comment down below and let me know, which do you prefer, paperback or hardback? I'm a paperback girly myself, but I can appreciate a hardback. I just have preferences. This bun, she is floppy. Another book for a future video that I'm doing is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. Also, I love the color and artwork of this book. I normally don't love like real people on the cover, but like holy moly, they did a fantastic job and she's stunning. Like it's like just enough, you know, like I digress. This one sounds juicy. Faye, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, wants to feel alive again. It's been 5 years since her partner, the love of her life, passed away in a tragic accident. She's slowly getting back to living life to the fullest and ends up having like this whirlwind summer with like glamorous celebrity chefs and curators and luxury trips. She's starting to date this guy, but things kind of get a little bit more intricate when she sees the guy's father. It says, Faye must begin her search for real answers. Who is she ready to become? Can she release her past and honor her grief while still embracing her future? So it sounds very fun. Okay, it's getting smaller, right? This was bought in the same sad book haul. The Simple Wild has been on my TBR for a really long time. A lot of my bookish friends really rave about this book, so when I saw it on the shelves I snatched it up. Kala Fletcher was barely 2 when her mother fled Alaska and created a life in Toronto, but at 26 Kala learns that her father is sick and his days are numbered, so she flies out to the remote Alaskan frontier to get to know him and fix their estranged relationship. There's roaming wildlife, odd daylight hours, especially if she goes in the summer, crazy prices, outhouses, and the chance to reconnect with her father. During this time, there is Jonah there, who is an unkempt, obnoxious Alaskan pilot who is keeping her father's charter plane company afloat, which that's like an incredibly important thing in Alaska. As time passes, she unexpectedly finds herself forming a bond with the burly pilot, of course. But Kala is not in Alaska to stay, and Jonah will never leave. It would be foolish of her to kindle a romance, to take the same path her parents tried and failed at years ago. I'm loving the like rural, small town romance vibes. The Roughest Draft, this exploded a few years ago on social media. It's by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca, the married couple who writes books together. It's about Katrina and Nathan, who are authors, and they kind of have an estranged relationship after a while, but they still have one more book with their company, and so the company's like, we're gonna sue you if you don't write this book, or something like that. They go on this writing retreat together to finish the last book that they're ever gonna write together. They're kind of telling their love story and why they broke up, but from each of their own perspective, and in a way it's like kind of showing the other, because I'm assuming there's some form of miscommunication, and like showing the other what they're thinking and feeling. It's like a second chance romance. I'm getting like very summer vibes. Love this cover. It's so fun. I'm very excited to read this, especially after reading Do I Know You? So yes. I saw this on sale, so I got it. Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I've heard so much about this series. I've wanted to read it for so long. The wait and hold on Libby is ridiculous, so when I saw this for sale, I snatched it up. Chloe Brown is a chronically ill computer geek with a goal, a plan, and a list. She is ready to move out and get a life, so she makes a list: enjoying a drunken night out, riding a motorcycle, going camping. So she enlists bad boy Redford Red Morgan, who is a handyman with tattoos, rides a motorcycle, and has more sex appeal than 10,000 Hollywood heartthrobs. Naturally, they get hanging out together. She learns why he resents her wealth. She learns he has more to the eye, and they get to know each other. Then we have Float. Funny story. I took the boys that I nannied to Barnes & Noble the other day. One of the boys ended up pointing at a book that I really wanted, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I thank you for pointing that out. I really wanted that book. And then the other brother was like, I want to pick a book. So I let him pick a book that I had remote interest in, and he chose this one. This story follows Waverly, who is caught in the middle of her parents' divorce. So they're trying to decide, who is she going to stay with? Is she going to stay with her dad or her mom? She ends up staying with her aunt in Florida instead. But Waverly's from Fairbanks, Alaska. She lives in the tundra, so going to the beach, not her idea of a fun summer. Plus, Waverly doesn't even know how to swim, so enters Blake, the super hot boy next door. He kind of welcomes her into their friends, so I'm assuming it's like found family situation, and I think he teaches her how to swim maybe. For the first time in her life, Waverly has friends, a social life, and soon enough feelings for Blake. But as the two grow closer, you know, they just remember that this is a temporary situation and summer is going to have to come to an end. What's going to happen? We'll find out. I also love the fact that this is a Wattpad book. That just gives me so much hope and inspiration as a hopeful author one day, that there are multiple ways to get a book out in the world, and I think that's also so cool that Wattpad does that. We have Guncle, and this has been on my wish list, my TBR, for a really long time. I'm just really excited to read this. This is about Patrick, or gay Uncle Patrick. He is a huge sucker for his niece and nephew, Maisie and Grant. He loves spending time with them, he loves spoiling them, and then he loves giving them back to mom and dad. Tragedy strikes Maisie and Grant's family, and he finds himself as the primary guardian. He is so overwhelmed and so underprepared. So Patrick's kind of trying to keep his life together, you know, work through his grief, when Patrick's Guncle rules no longer appease Maisie and Grant, you know, because he's no longer the fun uncle, he's now their primary guardian. Patrick's eyes are open to a new sense of responsibility and the realization that sometimes even being larger than life means you are unfailingly human. I really enjoy books that can have lighthearted moments but can also dig deeper into those little bit tougher, maybe a little bit unsavory moments of life, and just kind of wrap it all up together and explore that in a book. I really enjoy books like that, so I'm really looking forward to reading this. Then I saw this at a resale store for just a few dollars and I thought, why the heck not? All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. Honestly, I didn't even really read what it was about. I just read like the first few pages and I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. The tagline is, can a love story with a perfect beginning survive a lifetime between two imperfect people? The last thing Quinn expected was to meet the love of her life just outside of her fiance's front door. A year after leaving behind their cheating partners, Quinn and Graham are in a perfect relationship that seems designed by fate. 7 years later, their perfect love is threatened by their imperfect marriage. The memories, mistakes, and dreams that they have built up over the years are tearing them apart. The one thing that could save them might also be the very thing that pushes their marriage past the point of no return. Ooh. Okay, these 3 books were during a sale at my library. They have like a recycled reading room or a secondhand book room. We have It's in His Kiss, On the Way to the Wedding, and When He Was Wicked. So I think this is Francesca's. On the Way to the Wedding is the youngest brother. I forget his name. And It's in His Kiss is Hyacinth's. Garrett's and Hyacinth's book. Oh, love them. They were literally only 15 cents each, so I just had to get them. I love these mass market paperback books. They just fit in my hands perfectly because I have teeny tiny hands. Also in the sale, we have Look Me in the Eye. This is about a man who grew up and has Asperger's syndrome, and I thought it would be really interesting to get an inside view on someone who just has to go through life in such a different way than I do. I love this line. This is what sold it for me. It says, a born storyteller, Robinson has written a moving, darkly funny memoir about a life that has taken him from developing exploding guitars for Kiss to building a family of his own. It's a strange, sly, indelible account. Sometimes alien, yet always deeply human. Another one from my book sale is Believe It. This is the woman who created It Cosmetics and kind of her memoir and story of coming from the ground up. I do enjoy some of their cosmetics. Thought it would just be really interesting reading about a girl boss, maybe get a little inspiration, seeing about a company that I used and know. Another one from the sale is No Names to Be Given. This is written by Julia Daly, who is actually a local author. I've met her in person. I've talked to her. She's done a few events at our library. She's very down to earth, well spoken. We just really appreciate her as an author in the area. And it's her debut novel about orphan babies in New Orleans, I believe. A lot of women in a certain time period were forced or coerced into giving up their babies because they had babies out of wedlock or they couldn't afford the babies or things like that. This is the story of those babies from that orphanage. I've heard her speak on it a lot in her past experience because she was one of those babies. I'm very interested to read this book. I've heard really great things and I'm excited to support a local author. Another book from my library secondhand room, The Heart Principle by Helen Hong. I've actually already read this book on an ebook and I really enjoyed it. I have also read The Bride Test and enjoyed it. I still have to read The Kiss Quotient, so I wouldn't mind collecting these. I loved how Helen Hong wrote about difficult, real instances in life, like being on the spectrum is kind of her focus on this book, and having burnout, and also like familial trauma and how the people that are important in our lives can affect us the most. I thought she did a great job writing about this, and I think I would love for Quan to be my book boyfriend. I am a fan. They were such a cute couple and I loved all that they worked through. I just really enjoyed this book, and so I'm glad to have it on my shelves now. Okay, another Colleen Hoover book that was on sale at my resale store, Regretting You. I've debated reading this book, but I hear it's about a mother and a daughter, which I'm interested to read about that dynamic with Colleen Hoover. Morgan Grant and her 16-year-old daughter Clara would like nothing more than to be nothing alike. Her mother, Morgan, is just trying to make sure she doesn't make the same mistakes and follow in her footsteps. Clara just thinks her mom's predictable, boring, nothing spontaneous. It says the only one that can bring peace between the two of them is the husband of Morgan and the dad of Clara, but as per Colleen Hoover, it says the peace is shattered when Chris is involved in a tragic and questionable accident. While struggling to rebuild everything that crashed around them, Morgan finds comfort in the last person she expects to, and Clara turns to the one boy she's been forbidden to see. Ooh. I have seen really good reviews about this, so we'll see how I feel. Try it out. I need to take off this sticker, but I also picked this up on my birthday, thrifting The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. So obviously I'm going to pick up anything that has to do with books about books and bookish people. I don't even know what this is about, but there's books on it. This is a book about introverts. So apparently Nina kind of just has her life together. She works at a bookstore. She has a kick butt trivia team and a cat. Sometimes she wonders if there might be more, but then she just picks up a new book and it's fine. Well, Nina's father that she never knew existed, so a secret family member, suddenly dies, and she finds out she has all of these family members and like siblings and cousins and nieces and nephews, and they live close by. So what is Nina supposed to do? Oh no, she has to talk to them. She has to get out. And then alongside that, her trivia nemesis suddenly has like an interest in her, and what is she supposed to do with that? And what is she supposed to do about the fact that he's actually like kind of cute and funny and nice? She is overwhelmed. It says, it is time for Nina to come out of her comfortable shell, but she's not convinced real life could ever live up to fiction. It's going to take a brand new family, a persistent suitor, and the combined effects of ice cream and trivia to make her turn her own fresh page. That sounds so cute. And on the back here, there's like a little cat on the stack of books. These 3 books, when I was in middle school and high school, I read this series called Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging. It is also a movie on Netflix. Absolutely ridiculous, but so funny. And I remember this series brought me so much joy, and I used to have all of them and I don't know what happened to them, but I do remember when I was younger, you know, we didn't always have space or money, so I would often trade in books to get new books. That's probably why I don't have all of them. So I saw this at a resale store and I was like, I would love to fill out this series just for the nostalgic factor. And I was reading some of it already. It's just like so ridiculous. I really enjoyed the way it was written because it's just like 10:15 a.m. on June 5th. 10:30 a.m. June 5th, 11 a.m. June 5th. So it's just like a diary of these girls' thoughts, and it's so funny and relatable in many ways, because being a young teenager and like crushing on a guy and like not knowing what the heck's going on with your body, I feel you, girl, and this series does a great job of encapsulating that. Another thrifted book is Nothing to See Here. I actually listened to this on audiobook. One of my favorites of the year last year, if you watched my top tier ranked books of the year that I did last year to wrap up the end of my reading year. Nothing to See Here was so fun. I thought it'd be really fun to own it and maybe annotate it. It's so quirky. It's a magical realism sort of situation where this girl gets called by her best friend from college and is like, hey, I married this politician. He has 2 kids that are now my stepkids, and I really need you to be the nanny. So when she comes, she finds out that these kids explode, literally on fire, when their emotions become unstable. And so she like nannies them and eventually like gets to know them and care for them more than she ever thought that she would. So it's like found family, kind of unexpected ending, weird but like quirky situation and characters, and I just had a really great time reading this. So I'm excited to have a physical copy. Okay, another thrifted find, we have the Bane Chronicles. This follows Magnus Bane in this Shadowhunter world or universe. I'm not really sure what the timeline is, but I'm collecting the rest of these books because I think I'm gonna do a read-through of like the entire series this year, so I wanted to get the rest of them for that. And I found this for like $3, so I was really excited to add this to the collection. I am going to read it in the published order, I think. Another thrifted find, and I need to get this off. Ugh, it bothers me. A Ballad of Songbird and Snake. I read this on ebook when I was in Korea. I'm excited to have the physical version too because That's what I do when I really like books and series. And I have all of the Hunger Games right here just in this little corner, except for this one. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, that'll be a great addition so that I can have the whole series. I've read the series like probably 5 or 6 times. I actually really enjoyed this. This actually is the prequel to the series, and it goes back and kind of shows President Snow, Coriolanus Snow, in his youth as a teenager. Very morally gray. The whole book is morally gray. It shows you kind of the setup of the Hunger Games and how it came to be, how he was involved in them, and why. Crazy, but so good. I know some people were like, why did she do that? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well written. So fascinating. Okay, this was kind of a random pickup. I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. This story follows Jude and her twin brother Noah, who were like inseparable at 13. Her brother Noah, he seems like a romantic. He likes to draw. And Jude is kind of the daredevil, cliff diving, wearing red lipstick. You get the image. But at 16 years old, they like don't speak to each other. So it looks like we're gonna kind of go back and see what happened to them, why they no longer speak to each other, and see if they can find their way back to each other and get that closeness again. Wow, we're so close. Another book from my library that I bought is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. I have read a few other of Frederick Bachman's books, and when I saw this I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. This little girl, her grandmother is her best friend, and then her grandmother is maybe getting dementia or something like that, and then she dies and leaves the little girl Elsa a series of letters apologizing to different people in her life, and asks Elsa to deliver them to these kind of crazy people. Her grandmother's letters lead her to an apartment building full of drunks, monsters, attack dogs, and old crones, but also to the truth about fairy tales and kingdoms and a grandmother like no other. I read the first few pages and I was like, I could get into this, so I'm gonna give it a try. A few more thrifties. We have Not Pretending Anymore. This is about a girl who is looking for a roommate and interviews all these people. They're all dead ends, and then Declan shows up. She didn't want a guy roommate, but he's very persistent, he's very gorgeous, charismatic. Then she's like, you know what, it'll be okay because they're both romantically interested in other people. He moves in. Eventually, Declan concocts an idea. They should pretend to be a couple to make their love interests jealous. And to her utter shock, the crazy plan worked. Now, supposedly, they both are dating the people of their dreams, but there's one problem, and that she can't stop thinking about her roommate, Declan. Okay, another thrifty I found, American Housewife, and this is a series of essays from women who write a satirical essay on being an American housewife. I read like the first one and I thought it was hysterical. Also, check it out, it's a signed copy. I'm just gonna read you the first page of the first essay. It's called What I Do All Day, and this is what sucked me in and had me like laughing. Inspired by Beyonce, I stallion walk to the toaster. I show my husband a burnt spot that looks like the island where we honeymooned, kiss him goodbye, and tell him what time to be home for our party. I go to the grocery store and find that everyone else has gone to the grocery store. And as I maneuver my cart through chips and nuts traffic, I get grocery aisle rage. I see a lost child and assume it's an angry ghost. Fearing cold and flu season, I fist bump the credit card signature pad. Back home, I get a sickening feeling that I am relieved and find out it's just my husband's coat hung the wrong way in his closet. I break into a sweat when I find a Sharpie cap, but not the pen. I answer my phone and scream obscenities at an automated call. I worry the Butterball hotline ladies are lonely. If it can make me giggle and laugh that much in the first page, I'm excited to read the rest of those. And it looks like pretty short, pretty funny. Just pick it up whenever. I forgot I also bought some ebooks and audiobooks. first, for ebooks, we have K-Pop Confidential. I heard the author of this book, Steven, on Marissa Meyer's The Happy Writers podcast, and I really liked how he talked about his book and the issues that it spoke about. I love South Korea, as I've said before. I love that it is about K-pop. Then Frost by C.N. Crawford was on sale for like $1, $2, and I've had my eye on that series for a while. I was trying to wait until I got KU again, but I don't know if I'm gonna get KU after all of this. I don't deserve it. But that was on sale, so I bought that, and I've heard that's kind of like an ACOTAR Hunger Games, the selection combination. And I also have read one of her series before and I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to reading more of her books. I think those are the only ebooks I got, but I do have a few audiobooks. So first I got 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I have wanted to read this book for a really long time. I finally bit the bullet. So I'll just give you the tagline. It says, "A princess in exile, a shape-shifting dragon, 6 enchanted cranes, and an unspeakable curse." Then we have Warcross. I have also had this on my TBR for a really long time. When a game called Warcross takes the world by storm, one girl hacks her way into its dangerous depth. Warcross is this kind of simulation game. Amika goes into the simulation game and is a bounty hunter for people who do illegal betting and stuff like that inside the game. It's very competitive, it can be very dangerous, and at one point she hacks into the game and accidentally like glitches herself into some sort of like championship game that's like a huge deal. And because of that, she gets hired by the owner of the company, and he's like, "I need you in there as a spy, like using your skills." She gets in there, and then when she's doing her job, a lot of seedy and secretive things kind of start revealing themselves. Soon her investigation uncovers a sinister plot with major consequences for the entire Warcross Empire. I also got The Overdue Life of Amy Byler. I believe her husband just kind of like up and left her life and her kids. Suddenly he's back and he's offering to watch the kids for a month or 2 or something, and Amy kind of is like, when am I gonna get this chance again? She goes and kind of explores life and gets the chance to live for herself a little bit. Then we have 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. I purchased this when I was on my Greek mythology kick. If you're interested in Greek mythology, you really might enjoy my vlog where I read Greek mythology for a week. This is the story from the women's perspective, kind of like The Silence of the Girls. It's the women after the war who the Greeks took as war prizes. The Amazon princess who fought Achilles, Penelope waiting for Odysseus to return home. I really enjoyed reading The Silence of the Girls from the women's perspective, so it'll be interesting to read another aspect of Greek mythology from the women's perspectives. Then we have Heroes by Stephen Fry. Again, when I was on the Greek mythology kick. Mythos talks about the Greek gods, the Titans, Titanomachy, and a few of the humans that the gods interacted with, but Heroes specifically talks about more of the demigods, the sons and daughters of the gods, and humans who went on and did amazing mysterious feats like Hercules and Perseus. I don't know, maybe Theseus will be in here because he destroyed the Minotaur. I'm not entirely sure, but that is what these stories encompass. Then we have Daughters of Nidhi. I'm really sorry if I pronounce that incorrectly. This has been on my TBR for a while too. It tells the story of 2 sisters who are twins and separated at birth. One is raised like a goddess. Goddesses who grow up believing that they are human. Oh, so they're both goddesses. Nala grows up in a small quiet village, and then Sinai resides in the palace of Nidhi, so she's raised as a king or queen's daughter or a princess or something like that. So they're both raised very far apart in very different circumstances. It says both girls are tested in ways that awaken a mystical, formidable power deep within themselves. Eventually, their paths both lead back to the mighty Easy. But can they defeat the man who brought the gods themselves to their knees? Ooh, sounds so good. Then we have They Wish We Were Us by Jessica Goodman. In freshman year, Jill's best friend, the brilliant, dazzling Shayla, was killed by her boyfriend. And that night, the boyfriend confessed, the case was closed, and Jill tried to move on past her friend's death. Now it's her senior year, and she's determined to make the best of it. When Jill starts getting texts about Graham's innocence, her dreams of a perfect senior year are shattered. If Graham didn't kill Shayla, then who did? But digging deeper could be putting her friendships and her future in jeopardy. I would say I'm never buying a book again, but that's a straight up lie. I think I'm good for a while though. I think I need to buy a Kindle and like not buy physical books anymore. I don't know. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so tired. It's 11:40 p.m. Can you hear my voice, how shot it is? I really have a problem, and I think, honestly, I might have gotten it out of my system, the buying books thing. Oh my gosh, do you see my like mess over here? Oops. Wow, if you made it this far, you're amazing. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to know your thoughts about any of these books. Did you read it? Is it on your TBR? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Should I read that book first? Because I love chatting books with you guys. Subscribe and join the fam, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone. Sending you good vibes. See you next time. Mwah.